Hello and welcome to Crimes of the Heart Tarot. I'm Miss Vicki, and I'm going to use the tarot to see if we can gain more insight into unsolved mysteries, deaths, and disappearances. Let's get started. Welcome to Crimes of the Heart Tarot. Today I want to do a reading about Lisa Marie Presley. She died January 12th of heart problems, basically. I had to make notes because her life is pretty chaotic. She was 54. She was the only child of Elvis Presley and Priscilla Presley. And I wasn't sure how much I really wanted to go into the background on Lisa Marie. Her mother, Priscilla, had a very strange life with Elvis, marriage, divorce. Priscilla met Elvis when she was only 17, and he was in Germany during the war. And he was, I think she was 17, I think he was 25, something like that. Now, I'm probably not going to get all the details right because there's thousands and thousands of details, and I didn't want to just read them over. But there's lots of books. Priscilla's written books. Everybody's written books about Elvis and Priscilla. And Lisa Marie, too. It was a very strange existence at Graceland. She met him in Germany when she was 17. He was stationed over there. And he had been a major success at that time. He was a major success at that time. He was already huge in the United States, a major star. But he'd had a kind of a strange life up to that time too. She was very naive, very protected, and he basically he said to friends, there's so many things written, and I don't want to go into too many details about their marriage and all that, but basically he told friends, this is all alleged, this is just a tarot reading for entertainment purposes, that Priscilla reminded him of his mother, and she was very naive, very chaste, very willing to go along with whatever. A few years after that, he convinced Priscilla's parents to let her move to Graceland. He told them he'd put her in a Catholic school and everything would be fine, and later he indicated to the parents that they would get married. I'm not so sure he really wanted to marry her. It was almost like he did and he didn't. At that time, Elvis actually had started drugs in the military, so I don't know how coherent his thinking was about things. He was a big star, but he was really taken with Priscilla. And once she moved into Graceland, he started remaking her. Basically, dyed her hair black like his. His hair was dyed black. I think it was like a dark brown. Changed the way she dressed and walked and talked, and she was very, very willing, very quiet, very submissive, and he really liked that. He started basically remaking her into like a Barbie doll. Anyway, they finally did marry, and I had to make notes on this. Let's see. I think it was 1967. And they were divorced formally by October 1973. So Lisa Marie was born 9 months to the day of their marriage. And I believe she was 5 years old when they did divorce. They divorced, and then Priscilla moved out with shared custody up until Elvis died. Now, Elvis died August of 1977. Lisa Marie was only 9 years old, and she was actually staying at Graceland at the time. It's rumored she saw his dead body and the horrible, horrible situation around his death. I'm sure that affected her. It would affect anyone. She was only 9 years old. And after that, Priscilla Priscilla had, I think, basically had a lot of problems after she divorced Elvis, and I'm not a psychologist, I don't know the details, but Priscilla had been very naive, very sheltered. She had some romances, and I don't think she was very savvy about finances and all that. She was given, I'm not sure how much money, it wasn't a whole lot as a divorce settlement. And when Elvis died, Lisa Marie inherited everything, along with Lisa Marie's grandparents, Elvis's father and mother. And when they died, a few years later, I did make notes, but this is complicated. In 1980, Lisa Marie became the sole heir of Elvis's estate, which included Graceland. They said about $100 million worth of assets. She had income from everything, his music, but also Elvis, and this is a story, another story in itself. His manager, Colonel Parker, had basically taken advantage of him, and I should do a reading on him sometime. Squandered a lot of money, taken ridiculous amounts from Elvis, and all that. So, but she did inherit a small fortune, and she had problems after that. I don't want to tell the whole story here. You can read it. I'm sure there's millions of books about them. She started doing drugs after that. She was 9 when he died, but she had problems. And this is my opinion only. I don't believe Priscilla was cut out to be a really good parent. She had been raised in very strange circumstances, living with Elvis, the strange life they had, and read books about it. I'm not going to go into too much detail. And I don't think she was prepared to counsel Lisa Marie. I think she loved her, but I think Priscilla had a lot of problems. Priscilla also mentioned that she had been put on drugs by Elvis, so she could go to school during the day and be with him at night. And I think she kind of passed that on to her daughter. I'm not a psychologist, but kind of have to use common sense. So Lisa Marie was married 4 times. The most shocking marriage to me, and you may not agree, was her marriage to Michael Jackson. Her first marriage, and I did have to make notes, was to Danny Keough. She married him in 1988. They had 2 children, Benjamin and Riley, and they divorced in 1994. Now, she said that, Lisa Marie said that, it was very difficult to be so wealthy and so famous and married to someone that basically didn't have anything. So that ended. And she was guided to Scientology by Priscilla, who was a Scientology member, I guess you could call it, I'm not sure, who put her on drug programs and counseled her. Sometimes she'd be there for 2.5 hours. She'd just be dropped off. I'm not really sure if this started before she married Danny Keough or not. Anyway, major problems at a young age, and who wouldn't? I mean, all that money, all that attention, the crazy lifestyle with Elvis, which was crazy, and the crazy lifestyle with Priscilla, all the fame, at such a young age. I'm not sure what Scientology did or didn't do for her. She later left the church, and under strange circumstances. She had paid them a lot of money, like a lot of celebrities had. Anyway, her second marriage, and I did have to write it down, was Michael Jackson. She married Michael Jackson 3 weeks after her divorce from Danny Keough in 1994 became final. That shocked me. I remember reading about that. I am going to do a tarot reading. I just feel like I have to do some background here. And this, I may have to do a part 2 on this. I'm not sure. Michael Jackson had been a childhood friend. At that point, I think Lisa wanted to marry a peer. Now, Michael Jackson was obviously extremely famous, like her father had been. Wealthy, very wealthy. So she wasn't feeling like she was the one that supplied the money and the fame, and it was pretty much split evenly. I know there's a lot of Michael Jackson fans out there. Um, I just don't believe he was suited to be married. He had drug problems, he had psychological problems too, and this is all alleged. Certainly not a psychiatrist. Okay, that lasted, gosh, they married in, well, 3 weeks. She married 3 weeks after her divorce from Danny Keough was final. Married him 3 weeks later and divorced him in 1996. She later said, you know, the major drug problems were the reason. I think there were a lot of reasons. I think Lisa Marie was very, very naive, very sweet, I think very loving and talented. She was a talented singer, but she had no foundation in her life of what was right, what was wrong, the crazy life with Elvis. Michael Jackson's life was even crazier, I think. She later said she wished she had helped him off drugs, but she was involved with that allegedly also. So after that, I had to make notes here. I don't want to do a biography here. A few months after divorcing Michael Jackson, she married Nicolas Cage, who was a great Elvis fan. I mean, he had Elvis memorabilia, he had all kinds of things. He liked to dress like Elvis. I think Lisa Marie, not being a psychiatrist or psychologist, he was like a father figure to her. He was quite a bit older than her. So that obviously didn't work. And later on, she did say she had paid a lot of money when married to him. Now, this is alleged. This is just a tarot reading. All right, she finally met Michael Lockwood in 2006. He was a musician and apparently a pretty nice guy. They had 2 children and divorced in 2016. I don't even think it was final until 2020. They fought over money. It was always money with everyone but Michael Jackson, I think. She was very wealthy, but by the time she met Nicolas Cage, and then after that, her manager had, Michael Lockwood, 2006. Her manager had misappropriated her funds. She lost a lot of money. He blamed it on her squandering it on drugs and whatever, bad investments, which might have happened. I don't think she had anyone, this is just my opinion, to help her with things, to show her what to do. Anyway, I want to do a reading, and sadly, very sadly, she died at the age of 54, heart conditions. And her son, another very sad thing, Benjamin, committed suicide in 2020. And he, I think, struggled with the same thing, the fame, the money, constantly being pursued by people wanting stories, wanting something from you. All right, I want to do a reading about the feelings around her, and I wasn't really sure where to start with this. Like I said, this may have to be a part 2. All right, first I want to get the feelings, the energy, the cards have to say. After, I'm thinking we should probably start after Elvis's death, after her father's death, which had to have been terribly traumatic, and her trying to find her way in the world. All right, we have the Page of Wands. This was the beginning. Obviously, she had major opportunities. Pages are young, Wands are fire. She was, I think, fiery out inside and cool on the outside. I think she held things in. She was young, really young, and I don't mean to put Priscilla down, but I don't think she had much guidance from Priscilla, because I think she was also a child herself. She'd been raised and married in crazy circumstances. All right, after his death, lots of cups, 7 of Cups, lots of fantasies, delusions. I don't know that the drugs were that bad, but Priscilla stated that the years that followed, she did a lot of drugs and was out of control, basically. This is delusions, illusions, and I can see that. I mean, I can't even imagine being in her shoes, going through what she did. Anyway, that's when Priscilla apparently took action and hooked her up with there's a drug program apparently in Scientology. And she would drop her off, and let her be counseled for 2.5 hours, sometimes a day. Then we have the Eight of Wands. Things happened quickly for her. With the money, it was craziness all around. The drugs were fast. The drugs hooked onto her fast and changed her life, changed who she was. I think when she married, I have to look again, Danny Kehoe, she was already on a slippery path, out of control, not really knowing what to do with her life, not really knowing who she was. That's what I'm getting. Seven of Cups. The Seven of Wands, when she married him, she was defending herself. I think she was scared. I look at her as a scared child. Nobody protecting her. I don't want to dump on Priscilla, but, and this is all alleged, I feel like Priscilla didn't have the knowledge or the ability to really guide her as a mother should. She had her own life, her own nightmares to deal with. So I think that Lisa Marie was already on the defensive when she married him. All right, that's what I'm getting. Yeah, their marriage didn't last that long, but they did have 2 children. She later said she was sorry that things hadn't worked out with Danny, that he had been really her best person for her. All right, so she goes on to marry Michael Jackson. Pull a few cards. Michael Jackson was like a child. I mean, that was the image he wanted. He changed his face totally. He was very insecure. He had major drug problems at the time, most of his life. Very insecure, claimed his father had done things to him that were horrifying. And you can read the books. It's all in the books. You have to take everything with a grain of salt because some of it's true and some not. All right, she married Michael Jackson. These cards stick together. My hands have been really dry. It's so cold, very cold here. All right, Michael Jackson. Let's see what she saw in him. All right, we have the Strength card. She looked at him as someone strong, someone that could take care of her, that wouldn't abuse her for her money, that didn't marry her for her money. When they first got married, yeah, she thought it was the end of the rainbow, the Ten of Cups. Lisa Marie was very, very naive for her age, for being married, having been married before, and then to marry Michael Jackson. I think she thought she would solve the problems of having a lot of money by marrying someone with a lot of money, someone who was kind and sweet on the surface. I don't know what Michael Jackson was really going through. I don't want to get into his life or his psyche or anything, but he looked safe to her. He was safe. He was an equal. They were equals, children under the rainbow. And we have the Six of Pentacles. Six of Pentacles is charity. That's giving to one, taking to another. I think he was a good person to her. I think he was a good husband, as good as he could have been. It was, she gave some money, he gave some money. They were trying to do the right thing. I truly believe that. But I think she started to wake up. She realized that the drug use was pretty bad, that Michael had lots and lots of problems. She was like a child at this point. Her mentality hadn't really grown. And then the Fool card, that's taking a new path. This is a leap of faith. I think she decided that this wasn't going to work out for her. and she was going to take a new path. She was being brave. I feel like she had no guidance at all. Scientology, I don't know what to say about it. I'm not a member. I don't know anybody that belongs to it, but she wanted to strike out on her own at that point. I think she felt strong enough. She felt like she could do it. So they got divorced. They got a divorce, and I have to look at that. Okay. All right, they divorced, I guess, 1996. All right. Then she met Nicolas Cage, who I really love his acting. I have to say I'm a big fan. As for his personal life, I don't really know anything. I know he's odd. I know he worshipped Elvis, had a lot of Elvis memorabilia. He states he met Lisa Marie at a party and instantly fell in love with her. I think Nicolas Cage, as much as I really, really like him, I think he's another person who lives in sort of a fantasy land, and he really, really loved Elvis. What better than to marry his daughter? But Lisa Marie was really quite attractive and really pretty when they married. Really pretty. She was up until the time she died, and talented. I think Michael Jackson helped her with her music and let her know that she could do. I think Michael Jackson put her on the road of doing music, becoming her own person. And then she married Nicolas Cage. Whirlwind romance to somebody that kind of delusional. This is all alleged. I don't want any problems with him. I think he's a great actor. That's about all I want to say. All right. Nicholas. What in the world? All right. Let's see what we have here. Okay. Marriage to Nicolas Cage. Judgment. I think after being married to Michael Jackson, having been raised the way she was, being in Scientology, the drugs, the problems, her judgment was not great at that time. She wanted to do music. She wanted to do something. She was very talented. This was her chance to start over, just like the Fool card for Michael Jackson. She thought this would be a new beginning. I believe kind of she felt like Nicolas Cage was a father figure to her. He was quite a bit older. Very charming man, but judgment-wise, not so good maybe. And then after they were married came the Seven of Swords. This is a card of being deceived, being taken advantage of too. I remember something I read that Nicolas Cage had money problems. This is all alleged. He'd always had money problems. He would spend and buy and buy and buy. And I think that woke her up. I remember reading something or hearing something that she spent most of the money on the bills and things like that when she was married to him. And I think she woke up about that. I think she felt like he was using her. All alleged. This is just a tarot reading. Then came the Seven of Pentacles with her marriage to him. She reevaluated everything. Her money was in serious trouble. Her manager had squandered a lot. He claims that she made all these bad investments, but he was her money manager, and she lost an awful lot of money. She claimed that she spent a lot of money when married to Nicolas Cage, drugs, but bad investments, no guidance. I think she took a hard look at her money, and then we have the devil. I think between the drugs, the insecurity, and the loss of her finances, loss of control basically, I think she was really, really scared. I get that she was really scared. She had married Nicholas to be her father figure, to take care of her. And he worshipped her at first. I really believe that. I don't think he married her to take advantage of her money or anything. I think he was totally in love with her. It was illusion and delusion. And I think she found out, I think he recognized she had drug problems. Almost like the devil is about addiction. I think Nicholas was addicted to his lifestyle. At that time, he was an older man. He wasn't going to change. I don't believe he has. And she was basically a prisoner to her thoughts and her insecurities and her drug use. So that ended. That didn't last very long. In 2006, they were divorced. In 2006, she married Michael Lockwood, and they had 2 children. I think Michael Lockwood, I don't know a lot about him. He seems a bit of a poser. Another person that I believe maybe saw her as a vehicle. He was a musician, possibly get ahead in his profession. They had 2 children, and it really didn't work out. She started divorce proceedings in 2016, had the 2 children, and they fought through 2020, I think it was, something like that, over money. By that time, she had lost most of her money, and she was still battling drugs. Let's see what we have to say about... They had twin daughters, that's right, Michael Lockwood. Okay. Let's see what happened there. And then the sad saga. She was having physical problems too, mostly from drugs. All right. The marriage to him, it didn't last that long. Let's see what happened. 4 of Swords. I think she went into rehab several times. I'm not sure if it was through Scientology or not. It didn't work. It hadn't worked in the past. She was so insecure. And here she is dealing with another musician that I'm not so sure he supported her, using her. Money's gone. She lost almost all her money through bad investments, bad advice. She had no one for her, no one that really knew what they were doing. I think she did try rehab. It might have worked for a while, but she wanted to get away. She needed a rest. And then we have the 8 of Pentacles, working. She started working, working on changing her life. I truly believe she tried very hard to be a happy person and a good person. And I don't think any of this was her fault. I honestly believe she was just handed a bad hand, and there was no one there for her. She was working, she was doing her music. She did do some music, had done rehab. And then the Wheel of Fortune. The Wheel of Fortune is what goes up comes down. What goes around comes around. I think some bad things happened. I think it was some unforeseen things. She was like in a cycle. She would be happy one day, down one day. Drugs after her, no drugs. Trying to be a success. And she had a lot of health problems at that point. Heart problems. It could have been from, when people have heart problems, I always want to say they have a broken heart. And I think that's what really killed her. I know it was a heart problem, and I know she did a lot of drugs, but it was like a constant battle with her. Some days she was up, some days she was down. The marriage didn't last. And at the outcome on that was the Ten of Wands. It was a heavy burden being married. And vice versa. It was a heavy burden for him, for Michael Kehoe. Michael, I get the Michaels mixed up, okay. Michael Lockwood. I think, I'm trying to see when the final day of their divorce was 2020. I believe that's what it was. That long fighting over money. He wanted money. Let's face it, they had 2 twin daughters. She had a lot of problems. So that ended that. That was 2020. This is really sad. I think She passed away, how long after the divorce? Not that long. January 12th, 2023. It was finalized in 2023. All right, this is really sad. I don't think I can get any more. I just kind of wanted to go through the phases of her life. Very sad. She does have surviving children, the twins and a daughter, I believe. So there's 3 girls that inherited Graceland. And hopefully they will do better with their lives. I'm going to close the circle. This is very sad. I just kind of wanted to do a reading for Lisa Marie. I hope she's happy. I hope she rests in peace. Amanda on Afterlife Adventures did an amazing spirit box session with her. She's with Elvis. She's with her father and her grandparents, who she apparently loved very much. And even Michael Jackson is there. You need to watch Afterlife Adventures with Amanda. So we'll see you next time. Bye.